Hello and welcome to the Healing Insight podcast, episode 45, with me, Sarah Hunt.
And me, Jez Hunt.
Hello, everybody, and a very happy new year to you all. I hope you've had a wonderful Christmas. Hello, Jay. How are you today?
I'm very well this year. Thank you very much. It's looking good so far, although we're only on day 2. But hey. Yeah, no, very good. Very good. Just nice to be back in the saddle. And yeah, metaphorically, because I'm not actually in a saddle. It's going to be one of those episodes.
I don't think I've ever seen you in a saddle on a horse.
I have actually.
Have you?
Yeah. Many years ago, when I lived in Kempston, I sat on a horse and didn't enjoy it particularly. I have no problem with horses. I just don't want to be on the back of one. I think that's kind of where we're at.
Oh dear, oh dear. Well, this time of year, people are usually talking about New Year's resolutions, setting goals, all
Yep.
that kind of thing. Um, we're not going to talk about it. We're not like that anyway.
Let's not do that. Yeah.
No, let's not do that. But what we thought we'd have a chat about is stepping into flow.
Yeah, we kind of
We
touched on
kind
that
of
in
touched on it. Oh, snap.
we kind of touched on it last episode at the end of last year, where we talked about stepping into flow. So yeah, no, I think that's a good one to go with, and it does link with goal setting and manifesting and stuff as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. But when we're stepping into flow, what we're doing really is working from our heart, allowing ourselves to be heart-led, working with our intuition, doing what makes our heart sing, and making it clear to the universe what it is we actually want, so that the universe can provide everything that we need, and the connections with people, whatever else it is that we need to actually stay in the flow. And I think you had a really good analogy in the last episode, Jeremy, where you were saying about, being on a boat and going with the flow of the river, and that all the people that you need to connect with are on the banks of the river, and all the events and experiences that you want are all the way along that of the banks of the river, and
yeah,
that as you step the flow, you make these connections and have these experiences that will help you to grow and move forward. And that struck me at the time as a really good analogy of how important it is to actually be in the flow, and how the universe then works with us and helps us to achieve what it is we want to achieve.
yeah, and it's the ease of it. So if you, again, with that same analogy, if you're in a boat going down the river, you're not struggling to do anything. The boat is moving kind of almost on its own. Well, it kind of is in that. In reality, the boat would be moving on its own with being pushed by the water. But it's that point is when we find that life's a struggle. I think the other side of the analogy, or the opposite I used, was chopping through the jungle with a machete, and the struggle, and the everything in front of us, and the battle that we have to push our way through life. If we're finding that we're not finding things easily, so we're not finding things easy, there's resistance, things aren't working out how we want them to or how we expect them to, then the chances are you're not in flow.
Yeah.
Because when you're in flow, when you're on your life path in the right way, then everything does just click into place and seem to just happen.
Absolutely, it does, and this is why it's so important to listen to your heart and do what makes your heart sing. Because when we do the things that make us really happy, it helps us to be in flow. It keeps our vibration high, and moves us into flow. And if something's not making us happy, then we need to be looking at why, what's going on, do I need to change something? Um, what what is it that's making me unhappy, that's making me resist what I'm doing? Because if you're unhappy with a situation or in a job or whatever it is, then you're not in flow with it, and something needs to be addressed to put it right.
Absolutely. When I moved into full-time coaching, in the way that I'm doing it now, I haven't looked back. I have not once woken up in the morning and thought, "Oh, who've I got coaching today?" And I come away invigorated after sessions. I come away excited for possibilities. There is, and when I'm coaching with people, the sessions just flow. Because I'm in my heart center and I'm connected to my intuition, and I'm in that moment and just allow it to be. So previous jobs or previous things, when there's been struggle, when I want to do this, but it's not working out. And it's like, what I'm trying to say, like going down a whole load of dead ends. And then you have
Yeah.
to backtrack and start, okay, let's take this exit. No, that's not working. Let's take this exit. And yet, for me, finding where I am now and being where I am now, everything is clicking together. I mean, I'm not saying I don't have to work for things. I still have to take actions. I still have to do things to enable things to happen. But it's not like it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago in various jobs that I've had where, like you were saying, you sort of wake up in the morning or you don't feel happy in the job. Something's
Yeah.
not right.
Yeah. I think this is why it's so important to listen to your heart and learn to tune into your heart, and to feel what's right for you, and to do things that are self-serving so that you're working for your highest good. It's so important to do that. Um, so if something isn't making you happy, then it's, whether it's a relationship or whether it's um, a situation, whether it's work, we all need to take that step back and look and see, what is it? Why do I feel unhappy? What is it within me that I need to address? Is it something that I need to change in me, which will have a knock-on effect on the relationship, the situation, the work place, or is it that I need to make radical changes? Because sometimes it's just that we need to go within and recognize what's affecting us and deal with that to change what's going on around us. Because it's my belief and my understanding that everything that's going on around us is a manifestation of stuff that's within us.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can address the issues that are within us, then that changes what's going on around us. And also it gives us more clarity as well, so that we can see what it is that we want, where we want to go, what feels right for us, so that we can maybe set some objectives, but manifest what it is that we actually want.
Yeah.
And to me, setting objectives, they need to be very fluid. And whilst we may have a big objective, we might take some of the steps towards that objective and then realize that actually that's not for our highest good anymore, and that objective needs to change slightly, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
if we are too rigid about things, then we can set a goal or an objective, and we become so focused on, I've got to achieve that, I've got to achieve that, that we actually we shift ourselves out of flow, and in our struggle to achieve something for whatever reason we feel we need to achieve that, instead of actually recognizing, what, I needed to take these 3 steps to grow and to understand myself better, but actually that I now realize that goal is not right for me at this time, so let's change it slightly, and then take the next steps towards that, and that might have changed a bit again, but that's okay, I can change that. It's fluid. It's, to understand
Yeah.
what I'm kind of saying there. And when you allow that fluidity there as well, it allows you to stay in flow, instead of feeling that you've got to achieve something because you've set that goal and therefore it's got to be achieved.
Yeah. It's a constant review. So like checking in with emotions and how you feel as a barometer, like I was saying before in the last episode. When your feelings are a barometer of how you feel. So if you're feeling down, there's something, or feeling your vibration is lower, or you're feeling a bit negative, or whatever, then maybe there's something you need to look at to bring your vibration back up, or to address, or something's changed, or you might need to change something. Well, similar to that, we can set a goal today that is right for us today. And like you say, start going along the path and taking the steps towards that goal, that objective, that whatever it might be. But once we've started it, it doesn't mean it won't change. It doesn't mean that. So it's kind of like it's a balance between that and being the magpie, where you're jumping after anything that's shiny. Oh, shiny, I'm going to start this. Oh, no, that's better. Oh, I mean, I had clients do this. I've done it myself with courses over the years, where I've started a course and then I've seen what I perceive to be a better course of growing my business or helping clients or whatever it might be, self-development. And then you end up jumping loads of different courses, but not finishing any of them. Now, that's not necessarily for your highest good either, although it might be, because there might just be little snippets of each course you needed to learn. But that's sort of the magpie effect. Oh, shiny, I'll go for that one. Whereas we can then get fixated on one particular thing, and that's what I want to achieve. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't achieve that. It doesn't mean you won't achieve that. It's just that maybe there's something that would be better for you, to your highest good, if you were just to allow it to come to your awareness. But because you're so focused on that one thing you feel you need to achieve, that it's like putting blinkers on and you don't see the other opportunities that are walking. So it'd be like going down the river, but with blinkers on, or looking down into the boat rather than looking around you, because you're just so focused on getting to the end of the river because you want to achieve your objective of X, and missing out all these possibilities that the universe is throwing your way, saying, yeah, that's great, and that was right for you then, but I've got this and it's much better than that. Oh, you've just gone past. Okay. It's kind of that. It can be kind of like that. I think we can get so.
Yeah, we can get too focused, can't we? And then, and like you say, we then not open to the possibilities that are there for us.
And I think that's the underlying point I'm trying to make with this part is, yes, have goals, have objectives, have things you want to to focus and work towards, because that gives us purpose. That gives us a meaning and something that links to our purpose and moving forwards in our journey and life. But, and that is an intentional but stay open to other better things coming into our awareness as we journey forwards. So yes, we might be towards this particular goal and something else happens that changes that, and now this becomes more important, and just be open to it rather than blinkered and just miss it.
Yeah, and it's remembering as well to check in with our hearts. Does this feel right for me? Is this correct? Is this what I need to be doing? Is this for my highest good? I think that's really important to remember to do as well, because if it feels right, if it feels like it's for our highest good, then it will be right, and it will be what we need to be doing.
Yeah, having a check-in.
Yeah, checking in with ourselves. I think, that's something that's really important, checking in. Does this feel right? How does it make me feel? The idea of this, how does it make me feel? Does it make me feel excited, passionate about it, wanting to get up and get on with it? Or does it make me feel a bit reticent? Does it make me feel a bit uncomfortable? If it makes me feel like that, why is it making me feel like that? Kind of coming back to having a little bit of curiosity and a little bit of questioning going on to try and understand what we're feeling and therefore whether it's right for us or not at that time.
Yeah, it's interesting that you used the phrase "make me feel," because
Yeah.
It's
Interesting.
we choose to feel. Nobody makes us feel anything. So
That's patterning and programming, isn't it?
so yeah, I mean, when I think about this, how do I feel?
Yeah, that's the
Would
best
be a
way.
more appropriate way of, because
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, yeah, it is patterning and programming, but we do have to be aware of how we think and what we think and the way we think. So this make so you know the classic is in an argument, you made me feel like X. No,
Mm.
they acted in the way they did, or they behaved in the way they did, and you chose to feel like that as your response or reaction to how they behaved. But you can choose to react or respond differently, even if they carry on behaving the same way. So
Yeah,
nobody makes you feel anything.
good point. A good point. And it just goes to show, doesn't it, how we use language as well without realizing how we're using language.
Yeah,
I've not, and I didn't consciously kind of think about that, but obviously it was something we needed to discuss to kind of bring to people's awareness that, and you're right, we do choose how to react, we do choose how to respond, we do choose um, how we feel, and we always have a choice over um, over how we react, respond, and feel about things.
yeah. Another one I've noticed in our podcast, and this is me as it's me as well. It's me that I notice it with. Is we talk about being heart centered and not in our head, and then I go and say something, and I think that we
Yes,
ought to, and it's like, shouldn't you just said I feel that we?
yeah, absolutely. Although to a degree, we do think with our hearts, but yeah, it's more feeling with the heart. It is more feeling with the heart, and but as soon as you say something like, "I think," you're allowing yourself
You
to
to go
start
into
to
your
shift
head.
it back into your head.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's "I feel," you're much more in your heart.
Actually, just for clarity, we're not saying don't go in your head and don't think about things. Um, so yeah, we want to be in our heart and feel what's right as much as possible. We still have to rationalize certain things. We still have to think. So we are going to go into our heads at certain times. It's just going with what you feel is right before you go into your head and do the bit you need to do in your head. I'm just clarifying that for any listener that might be confused in terms of, well, we need to think. Yes, we do. But it's when we go into our heads and try and rationalize stuff or replay stuff from the past that we can't change, and yet we go over and over and over and over it, and we keep replaying it all the time when actually we don't need to, because it's irrelevant. We can't change it, but what we can do is look at why it's triggering us and what the lesson to be learned is, because then when we learn the lesson and let go of the emotion connected to it, we retain the lesson, but we can move forwards from that.
Yeah,
So it's not allowing ourselves to get stuck in our heads, but to
yeah,
keep switching between heart, head, heart, head, heart, head as appropriate.
yes, yes. That I think that's really important to understand. Because there are times when we do need to use our heads.
Yes.
Yes, we wouldn't have them if we didn't need them. Might look a bit odd, but when you're heart led with things, when you listen with your heart, it's kind of a lot easier to know what to do. Because if you get in that state of overthinking things, you can kind of get into a bit of a fog. Because
Mm.
you take a step back, allow yourself to just drop into your heart, you can kind of then get more clarity. Or that's certainly the experience I've had when I've kind of like had decisions to make and I'm thinking, I really don't know what I need to do here. And then I'll just take a step back, drop into my heart, feel, know what feels right for me. I know what the pros and cons are of each thing. If I make a decision to do this or I make a decision to do that, but what feels right.
Mm.
Um, and then we'll get, the feel for what's right for us and what will give us the growth that we want, that we that we need at this particular time.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, feeling and learning to connect with and interpret feelings can take time. You know, it's a thing to practice. It's not.
Mm.
You know, we're so as a race, we're so out of tune with ourselves nowadays compared to say 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, or whatever, because of society and evolution in that sense. So it's something that we need to practice. But something else, sometimes you can't feel what's right. Sometimes
Yeah.
you don't recognize. It's not a clear indication. That's where I'm going. There's not a clear indication of what's right for me in this particular moment. So for me, one of the things I use if I don't get a feeling of which way to go, which is the right solution or the answer or whatever, is I use meditation or stream of consciousness journaling. We've talked about that before,
Mm.
where just do a meditation, just allow whatever. I mean, you can do guided meditations with your future self, or there's various different things that we can do to get an answer or to help us move to an answer. But even just by meditating and just relaxing into that space can just allow the subconscious to come across and the intuition to come across and say, okay, let's give you an indicator. How about looking over here, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, a way that I find really good is to get out in nature, because when we're out in nature, we can be doing walking meditations without actually realizing we're doing that,
Yeah.
especially when we allow ourselves to just be and connect with nature. So that's another way that you can do it. And I've often had things where I've been, get myself in a bit of a 2 and 8 because I'm not sure quite how to deal with it or what decision to make. And then I just think, you know what, I've got to get out, and I'll go out into nature, get out into the woods for an hour or so. And by the time I come home, it's all kind of clicked round, and I'm going, oh, that's what I need to do. And it's doing the same sort of thing as doing the meditation will
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But it's just a different way of doing it. So um, there's lots of different things we can do, but sometimes it's doing something that takes us into a state of being. So
Yes.
we just allow the information to come through to us rather than trying to work out what it is that we need to know
Yeah.
to make
It's
a decision.
switching off the conscious mind. It's allowing. So
Yeah.
as we've talked before, we've got all these millions of bits of information every second going into our brain and inwards, and yet we don't necessarily allow it to assimilate and connect and make connections that the unconscious mind can do and does very well, and then spit out positive answers and things that will help us move forwards. Because sometimes we don't listen to ourselves. We've talked about this before, where we just don't listen to ourselves. We don't allow ourselves that space to
I've been an
output.
expert at that in the past. But yeah, you're right. But we need to allow ourselves that space to be able to listen to ourselves. And of course, we've been caught up in such a busy world. If I think back to our childhood, and lives were busy, but they weren't as busy as they are now and as stressful as they are now for people. And there's so much chatter, so much distraction going on, that it's very easy to kind of get caught up in lots of stuff going on around us, rather than being able to just relax into the moment and so allow information to come to us, because we have everything that we need within us.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to tap into that universal knowledge that's there for us to tap into and make use of. um, and we've been taught to look outside of ourselves for the answers, when actually all we need to do is just um, go within and listen.
Yeah. We live our lives outside in. We live our lives responding and reacting to what's happening outside of us rather than from the inside out, which is actually how we're built. When
Yeah,
we should be reacting and responding to the answers within us.
absolutely.
We
and
allow
and
the.
when we do that, we move ourselves into flow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's the place to start is within.
Yes.
You know, this is happening to me outside and it's triggering me in this way. So what can I do from the inside to affect the change I need to make, if any, that I need to make to deal with this or to change this situation to one where it's something that I am happy with, comfortable with, or it changes it in a positive way for me.
Mm.
And that's, like we said before, this is about being selfless, not selfish. It's
Yes.
about putting yourself first, but for the highest good of everybody.
Yes.
Because if I'm the best version of me, then the impact I have on anyone I have a connection with will be for the highest good of them.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It all comes back to loving ourselves and recognizing that everything that we need is within us. We have the answers. We just need to tap into them.
Yeah. Wow.
Fabulous. Good way to start the year, don't you think?
I think it's an awesome way to start the year.
Hopefully it's given our listeners a lot to think about as they move into the new year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Step into flow and allow the universe to work with you and bring all the opportunities and the experiences that are right for you to you so that you can really grow and move forward.
Yeah. Not a lot I can add to that, really.
Okay, then. So, thank you very much for listening. And until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.